This man's name is Ma-Ru. He used to be the best doctor in the hospital. Now he's a male prostitute in a nightclub. One day a few years ago, Ma-Ru came home from work. As soon as he opened the door, he found his sister fainted. Just as he was about to go to the hospital, a sudden phone call changed his decision. It was his girlfriend, Jae-hee. She panics and says she's killed someone. Ma-Ru was shocked, listening to her crying on the phone. Ma-Ru doesn't know what to do. On one side was his sister. On the other hand, there's his girlfriend. Ma-Ru chose to go to his girlfriend's side. He told his sister he'd be back as soon as possible. But what he didn't realize, this decision changed the fate of the three of them forever. Ma-Ru ran as fast as he could. He soon arrived at Jae-hee's hotel. Push open the door. A man covered in blood is lying on the floor. Ma-Ru cautiously went up to check on him. He was dead. Jae-hee was crouching in the corner, shivering. She looks at Ma-Ru in horror. Ma-Ru patiently asks her what happened. After understanding the situation, he persuaded Jae-hee to turn herself in. He said it was just self-defense, and she wouldn't get a heavy sentence. Jae-hee looks at Ma-Ru in disbelief. She said that she had worked hard to become a good reporter. She doesn't want to go back to her poor days. If she turns herself in, it's all over. There would be no reason for her to live. After that, she picked up the glass and tried to kill herself. During the fight, Ma-Ru's arm was cut. Jae-hee tried to check but Ma-Ru stopped her. Ma-Ru asks Jae-hee if she can't be the reason for her life. Jae-hee finally decides to turn herself in. Ma-Ru grabbed the phone and kissed her. He starts to organize the scene to take the blame for Jae-hee. However, he never imagined that Jae-hee would fall into the arms of a rich old man. Ma-Ru called his sister to apologize. She left tears in her eyes. 6 years have passed. After his release from prison, Ma-Ru has moved around among women of all kinds. His sister was sick because of the delay in her treatment. Ma-Ru needed to earn money to pay for her treatment. He was expelled from the hospital because he was in jail, so he became a male prostitute. That day, he was on a plane traveling abroad. On the plane, a woman suddenly fell unconscious. Ma-Ru, who had been a doctor before, got up and tried to help her. He realizes that the woman is in critical condition and must be bled immediately. Ma-Ru looked up for the woman's family. A face that haunts him appears in front of him. Ma-Ru and Jae-hee are stunned. Neither of them expected to see each other in such a situation. Ma-Ru asks Jae-hee about his relationship with the woman. Jae-hee doesn't know what to do. She doesn't dare to answer. But after being pressed by Ma-Ru, she finally told Ma-Ru that the woman is Yoon-ki, her husband's and ex-wife's daughter. Jae-hee's words were like a bolt from the blue. Ma-Ru couldn't believe that Jae-hee was married, but he didn't dare to think about it. Yoon-ki's life could be in danger at any moment. Ma-Ru takes out a needle and sticks it into Yoon-ki's chest. Suddenly she coughed and blood spurted out. Jae-hee was terrified. It's not that she's worried about Yoon-ki's safety. It's that if something happens to Yoon-ki, she couldn't explain to her husband. Jae-hee tries to stop Ma-Ru from rescuing her, but Ma-Ru doesn't care. In a moment of desperation, Jae-hee scolded Ma-Ru for not being a doctor. Her words are like a needle in Ma-Ru's heart. Ma-Ru stares at Jae-hee and says nothing. This is the woman she wants to protect at the risk of her life. Time passes by. Ma-Ru is still working. As the blood is extracted, Yoon-ki's breathing is stabilizing. Her blood pressure has returned to normal. Ma-Ru's work is done. He gets up tired and leaves. Jae-hee stood still. She wanted to call out to Ma-Ru, but she was no longer in a position to do so. A disoriented Ma-Ru walks aimlessly down the street. Thinking back to the past with Jae-hee, he decides to forget Jae-hee and start a new life. But Jae-hee pushed him into hell once again. That day, Jae-hee came to Ma-Ru with a gift and a check for $10 billion. She wanted to make up for all the years she owed him with money. Looking at the place where she grew up, Jae-hee felt sad. She didn't see Ma-Ru. Instead, she saw a man and a woman who came to settle the score with Ma-Ru. It turns out that he broke up a family. They came to ask for compensation. Jae-hee didn't expect Ma-Ru to be like this. She found out from Ma-Ru's friend Jae-gi. He was fired from the hospital because he was in jail. He had no money. In order to raise money for his sister's treatment, he had no choice but to become a male prostitute, because his sister was the only family he had in the world. At that moment, Ma-Ru's sister was in the hospital, angry at her brother. She blames her brother for leaving her 6 years ago. Ma-Ru's sister's reproach makes him feel sorry for himself. Ma-Ru returns home. Jae-hee is gone. A friend gives him the check that Jae-hee left behind. Ma-Ru is furious. He felt humiliated. He went after her like a madman. He wanted to ask Jae-hee what was in her heart. Jae-hee returned home. Her stepdaughter Yoon-ki blocked her way. She asked Jae-hee why she gave so much money to another man. Jae-hee was shocked. She tried to defend herself, but Yoon-ki had a picture of her going to Ma-Ru's house. But Jae-hee didn't panic. She said the man knew about Yoon-ki's drug possession arrest in America. Jae-hee threatened Yoon-ki. If the group's directors find out about this, she would lose her status as the heir to the plutocracy. The next day at dinner, Yoon-ki told Jae-hee that she had turned in the man who threatened her. In the pouring rain, Ma-Ru left the $10 billion check at Jae-hee's front door. He didn't go in, because although he hated Jae-hee in his heart, but he didn't want to disturb Jae-hee's life. In order to keep her position as a rich woman, Jae-hee lied about being threatened. She called the police, in front of the woman who accused her without a conscience. Ma-Ru's eyes were cold. His last illusion about women was shattered. scared. He thought of his sister's illness because of prison. His own future was ruined. A seed of hatred sprouted in his heart. Ma-Ru was acquitted for lack of evidence. Looking at his sister in her hospital bed, Ma-Ru was ready to fight back. His first thought was Jae-hee's stepdaughter, Yoon-ki. Yoon-ki is the heir to the Taesan group. She's the biggest obstacle in Jae-hee's life. She is hardworking and kind despite her privileged background. She always takes care of the interests of the lowest workers at work, but she doesn't have her father's understanding and support. Only racing can make her forget her troubles for a while. Ma-Ru's carefully prepared encounter begins. Ma-Ru appears beside Yoon-ki as a racing expert. The two of them are in a race to the finish. Suddenly, Yoon-ki's brakes fail and she falls out of the car. Hearing the noise, Ma-Ru rushes to save Yoon-ki, but Yoon-ki screams that she wants to find her doll. Yoon-ki wanted to go down and find his doll because it was his mom's last gift to him. Ma-Ru has no choice but to go down again. Danger arises. On the way back, the rope that was attached to her body suddenly broke. Ma-Ru fell off the cliff and was hospitalized. He was taken to the hospital. He is out of danger, but his body is broken in several places. Looking at the unconscious Ma-Ru, Enki couldn't understand why a stranger she'd never met before would save her life. Growing up, she knew that a man must want something else, but Yoon-ki couldn't help but remember the image of the man saving his life. The next day Yoon-ki buys a watch for Ma-Ru. When she arrived at the hospital, she found that Ma-Ru had already been discharged. Yoon-ki couldn't hide her loss. Through inquiries, Yoon-ki finds out where Ma-Ru lives. On the other side, Ma-Ru, who just arrived home, saw a text message from her sister. It turns out that he and his sister are half-brothers and half-sisters. His sister was seriously ill and was abandoned by his mother. Since then, they've been living together. Because now her condition has worsened, she didn't want to drag her brother down anymore, so she left home secretly to find her real mother. But her mother had remarried. Her stepfather was not only a gambler but also violent. When he drank, he beat them up. Unable to bear it, her sister called the police. The stepfather was arrested, but he was soon released. The stepfather's anger flared up and he punched the family again. When Ma-Ru got the news, she went out to look for her. She runs into Yoon-ki, who is looking for her. Yoon-ki flirts with her. Ma-Ru ignores him and leaves. Yoon-ki follows him to the car. Ma-Ru has no choice but to take her with him. Yoon-ki took out a watch and offered it to Ma-Ru, but he refuses. He says he doesn't need such a thing. He said he wouldn't have looked at her before, but after something happened, he's changed the way he looks at her. He decided to pursue her from tomorrow. Ma-Ru's words managed to change Yoon-ki's face. She tried to get out of the car, but realized that the car was already on the highway. When she arrived at her destination, Ma-Ru saw her sister's mother. A man suddenly appears and punches the woman. Ma-Ru can't stand it, so she scolds the man. The woman saw her man being beaten. She grabbed a broom and hit Ma-Ru like a madman. Luckily, her sister appeared in time and pulled her mother away. Yoon-ki saw the wounded Ma-Ru sitting forlornly in the night. Suddenly, he felt a twinge of pain. At that moment, the woman dragged her sister to Ma-Ru. She wanted Ma-Ru to take her away, although Ma-Ru wanted to take his sister, but she didn't want to go back with him. She didn't want to be a burden to her brother. The woman said that between her daughter and her husband, she said she could only choose her husband. She said it was because of her daughter's arrival that her husband became what he is now. Her mother's words completely chilled the girl's heart. She decided to follow her brother and leave. Yoon-ki quietly looks at the man in front of her with pain in her eyes. After sending Yoon-ki home, Ma-Ru saw Jae-hee kissing someone else and became angry. He got out of the car. Jae-hee was shocked to see him. Ma-Ru deliberately woke up Yoon-ki in front of Jae-hee. He did it on purpose, because he wanted to get back at Jae-hee for betraying him. Yoon-ki also saw Jae-hee. She was flirting with Ma-Ru in front of Jae-hee. Ma-Ru was very cooperative. Jae-hee couldn't believe his eyes. She can't believe that Ma-Ru likes another woman. The next day, Jae-hee questioned Yoon-ki about her relationship with Ma-Ru. Yoon-ki asked her why she cares about her personal life. He teased her if she has a crush on Ma-Ru. Jae-hee said Ma-Ru doesn't look like a good person. Yoon-ki sarcastically said to Jae-hee, "I've accepted you, so what's there to be afraid of?" She was puzzled by Jae-hee's strange behavior, so she investigated but found nothing, because Jae-hee cleaned up his past a long time ago. In the morning, Jae-hee and Yoon-ki arrived at the office at the same time. Jae-hee deliberately helped Yoon-ki arrange her clothes in front of the employees. Yoon-ki, however, scoffed at her behavior. That's when Yoon-ki met Ma-Ru. They greeted each other. Jae-hee is nervous. She's afraid that Ma-Ru will reveal her past, but Ma-Ru pretends she's never seen her before. Ma-Ru says he used to be a fan of Jae-hee when she was a reporter. He liked the honest reporters in the old days, but unfortunately, he doesn't anymore. At that moment, Yoon-ki's father came over. He asked Yoon-ki who the man beside her was. Yoon-ki said he was her boyfriend. Ma-Ru greeted the chairman politely. The chairman invited Ma-Ru to his home for dinner. Jae-hee can't hide his nervousness. At the dinner table, the chairman asks about Ma-Ru's personal situation. Ma-Ru says she's an orphan. She was kicked out of college before she finished. The chairman asks why. Ma-Ru looks at Jae-hee. Jae-hee is scared. Ma-Ru knows she's a murderer. Yesterday he saw her kissing her husband's assistant. She's afraid Ma-Ru will tell her and destroy everything she has. It's a good thing. The chairman isn't happy with Ma-Ru. He thinks he's a man who's a clown. He won't allow such a man to stay with his daughter. Yoon-ki asked her father what he knew about Jae-hee. She was the one who shamelessly seduced you with a family when she was young. Yoon-ki's words successfully angered her father. He grabbed a glass of water and threw it at Yoon-ki. He revoked Yoon-ki's status as the heir to the foundation in front of the public, and told Jae-hee to pay off Ma-ru. If he can't, he'll sue him. Then he turned around and left. Yoon-ki was not satisfied with his father's decision, and chased after him. At this moment, it's finally quiet. The former lovers are sitting together again, but there's no going back. Ma-ru teased Jae-hee about how much money he's going to use to get rid of himself, but Jae-hee asked Ma-ru if what she did today was to get back at her. He said if that was the case, he was too naive. It's better to take the money. You're the one who sells your body for money. Ma-ru was shocked. He didn't think a woman could be so shameless. Jae-hee tried to explain. Ma-ru humiliated her. Then he left in a rage. In the hallway, Ma-ru saw Yoon-ki. He took out a handkerchief and wiped Yoon-ki's hair. Yoon-ki says she really likes him. Ma-ru asked her if she would give up money for love. Yoon-ki extends her hand. She tells Ma-ru to take care of herself. Ma-ru understands Yoon-ki's decision. He asks Yoon-ki for a goodbye kiss. No matter what, he will wait. Yoon-ki was publicly disowned as the heir to a fortune for offending his father. Her father also gave Jae-hee the resort her mother left behind to sell to fill the group's financial gap. Yoon-ki couldn't bear the thought of her mother's work being sold, so she went to the resort to find a solution. She called Ma-ru and told him she wanted to see him. This instantly broke down Ma-ru's psychological defenses. He wanted to fly to Yoon-ki's side immediately. Yoon-ki told Ma-ru that he was at a resort in Japan. There are so many memories of my mother here, but soon it won't belong to me, because father is going to sell it. Ma-ru sensed Yoon-ki's loss. He told Yoon-ki that even if she lost everything, she still had him. Yoon-ki said she'd go to him when she was homeless. At that moment, Jae-hee came to Yoon-ki's side. He taunted Yoon-ki about her lack of self-esteem. He showed off his success to Yoon-ki. All this was clearly heard by Ma-ru on the other side of the phone. He decides to help Yoon-ki, who is all alone. Yoon-ki took out the doll that his mother had given him. She prayed for her mother's blessing to win the battle. She began to organize the information. Time passed by, but she still had no clue. Ma-ru was standing outside the door. He didn't want to disturb her. Yoon-ki finally came out. She washes her face and lies down on the grass. Ma-ru walks over to Yoon-ki and tries to wake her up, but realizes that Yoon-ki is already asleep. He went to his room and saw the materials Yoon-ki had organized on his desk. He called his friend to help him with the financial statements. Over the course of the night, Ma-ru succeeded in finding a solution. Looking at the sleeping Yoon-ki, Ma-ru picked her up and threw her into the river. Yoon-ki wakes up. She looks at Ma-ru. The man who had appeared in her dreams so many times was standing in front of her. Yoon-ki looks at him in disbelief. Ma-ru said he would help Yoon-ki win the battle. He offers Yoon-ki the solution. Yoon-ki didn't have time to say thank you. She went to the signing ceremony without stopping. Seeing Jae-hee's smug smile, she knew she was too late. She asked Jae-hee why he didn't wait for her. She said she found a new financing plan, but Jae-hee said that everything had been decided and couldn't be changed. Yoon-ki became angry. She won't allow her mother's life's work to be sold at a low price. So she picks up the contract on the table and rips it to shreds. Jae-hee slapped her in the face. Yoon-ki looked at her in disbelief. Jae-hee said it was all the chairman's idea. He wants to erase all memories of her mother. Yoon-ki broke down. Jae-hee turns around and discusses the next signing with the buyer. Then the phone rang. It's Ma-ru. He asked Yoon-ki how things were going. Yoon-ki didn't say anything. Ma-ru guessed. He should have known that Yoon-ki was no match for Jae-hee. He told Yoon-ki to turn on the cell phone's amplifier and give it to the buyer. Ma-ru found out that the buyer is a shell company. He's in trouble with a lawsuit. He can't afford to raise money. Seeing that the plan is falling apart, the buyer ran away. Yoon-ki won. She kept her mother's blood. Jae-hee looked at her cell phone screen. She knew it was Ma-ru, but she can't do anything about it now. So she has to leave. Ma-ru says he's tired now. He wants to meet Yoon-ki in 3 hours. Jae-hee, outside the door, hears their conversation clearly. Ma-ru got a call from Jae-hee. He was surprised. Jae-hee says he wants to see him for 10 minutes. Ma-ru is shaken. At this moment, he's forgotten about his promise with Yoon-ki. He just wants to hear what the woman has to say to him. Jae-hee tells Ma-ru how much she misses him. She asked Ma-ru to take her away anywhere. Ma-ru looks at his watch. It's time. He turned around and left. Ignoring Jae-hee shouts behind him. Suddenly he hears a loud bang. He turned around and Jae-hee was no longer there. He jumped without hesitation. He knew he didn't love her anymore, but he couldn't watch Jae-hee die in front of him. Jae-hee woke up. She wanted Ma-ru to wait for her when she got everything she wanted, and then they'd go away. Ma-ru doesn't want to stay a moment longer as he watches his former lover turn into an abomination. He thinks about his date with Yoon-ki. He wants to see the girl who only has eyes for her. Ma-ru ran as fast as he could. Finally, he saw Yoon-ki. He saw the girl who had dressed up to meet her. He couldn't help but kiss her. The case at the resort made the chairman furious. He had the maid leave Yoon-ki's clothes at the door. He also made her hand over her bank card and car keys. He said she should be left to fend for herself. Yoon-ki left. Before leaving, she asked her assistant Jun-ha to take care of her father. Yoon-ki didn't know that her father knew he was dying. He had already entrusted her to Jun-ha. He said that even if the whole world betrayed Yoon-ki, Jun-ha would protect him. He hoped that the present ordeal would help her grow up quickly. Yoon-ki's departure made Jae-hee feel very excited. She feels closer to her dream. Yoon-ki came to see Ma-ru. Ma-ru is not at home. He is now with Jae-hee. Jae-hee has taken over the bar where Ma-ru works. She asks Ma-ru to leave Yoon-ki and come back to her. But Ma-ru called Yoon-ki in front of her. He said he knew Yoon-ki had been kicked out of her house. He asked Yoon-ki to move in with him. And he told Yoon-ki that I love you, which Yoon-ki had been waiting for. Jae-hee was frozen. She doesn't believe Ma-ru's words. She thinks that Ma-ru is just using Yoon-ki and has no feelings for her. Ma-ru shakes off Jae-hee's hand and leaves. Jae-hee suddenly comes forward and kisses Ma-ru. She tries to threaten Ma-ru, but Ma-ru kissed Jae-hee back harder. He took out his cell phone and took a picture. He warned Jae-hee not to mess with Yoon-ki, or he'll show the photos to the public. Yoon-ki was about to come in when she received a photo from Jun-ha. It turns out that he discovered Jae-hee's unusual relationship with assistant Ma during a routine surveillance check. He didn't dare to tell the chairman. He had to find Yoon-ki first. Yoon-ki doesn't want his father's life's work to fall into someone else's hands, and decides to return to the company. Yoon-ki found the workers who were on strike. She wants them to come back to the company to help her. She took out all her assets and put them back in their place. She even got drunk. Her sincerity impressed them, and she got a bargaining chip to return to the company. Yoon-ki called Ma-ru under the influence of alcohol. She confessed her feelings for him. She says she can't live without him. She hates herself now. Ma-ru listens quietly. He regrets it. He shouldn't have involved the innocent Yoon-ki, but he couldn't let her go. He wants to hold on to the only warmth left in the world. When Yoon-ki woke up, he looked at Ma-ru, who was lying next to him, and was filled with happiness. Ma-ru says Yoon-ki should stay away from him. Yoon-ki doesn't understand. He just kissed her gently. Jun-ha is surprised to find out that the man beside Yoon-ki is Ma-ru, the blackmailer Jae-hee accused. He was shocked. He doesn't know whether to tell Yoon-ki or not. Ma-ru comes home to find Jae-hee beaten up. It turns out that Jae-hee's brother, Jae-shik, is out of jail. He came here to ask for Jae-hee's address. He took Ma-ru's cell phone. He used Ma-ru's cell phone to call Jae-hee. Jae-hee was frozen. The day she dreaded came. Yoon-ki ran into Ma-ru's neighbor. She said she left something at her house. She asked Yoon-ki to give it to Ma-ru. Yoon-ki took a curious look at the picture of Ma-ru and Jae-hee together. She can't believe her eyes. She looks up and sees Ma-ru. In the sunlight, Ma-ru looks the same as she imagined, but everything seems to be different. Yoon-ki looks at the picture in her hand. She remembers how the three of them used to be together, and Jae-hee's warning to her. She realized everything. Ma-ru approached her to get revenge on Jae-hee, and she fell hopelessly in love with him. One was the man she loved the most, and the one she hates the most is her stepmother. Yoon-ki doesn't know how to face Ma-ru. Looking at Yoon-ki's pale face, she wants to take her to the hospital, but Yoon-ki refuses. She didn't tell Ma-ru off. She holds back the tears in her eyes. Ma-ru left. Yoon-ki falls to the ground. She took out the document that Jun-ha gave her. It's the file Jae-hee gave her to sue Ma-ru for extortion, so everything was in order. I was stupid. Yoon-ki found out from Jun-ha what happened 6 years ago. Ma-ru was imprisoned for murder, but Jae-hee moved on to marry her father. Jun-ha said she'd do everything she could to help her. Yoon-ki refused. She won't allow others to meddle in her affairs. On the other side, Ma-ru went to see Jae-shik. Jae-shik guessed that Ma-ru would never kill anyone. He must have taken the blame for Jae-hee. He said he'd avenge Ma-ru's death. Ma-ru became angry. He warned Jae-shik not to hurt Jae-hee, but Jae-hee called Ma-ru. She thinks Ma-ru gave her cell phone number to her brother to harass her. Ma-ru just listens quietly without any explanation. Yoon-ki came to drink with Ma-ru. They sit next to each other in the darkness of the night. Yoon-ki says he's tired and wants to leave. Ma-ru looked at Yoon-ki quietly. He doesn't stay. Yoon-ki walks on, lost in thought, in a trance. She thought she saw Jae-hee, but she couldn't open her eyes, because she was too tired. Finally, she collapsed. At the same time, Jae-hee paid a gangster to kill Ma-ru, just to force him to leave Yoon-ki. Ma-ru, who was seriously injured, asked Jae-hee to take her on a trip abroad so that she wouldn't worry about her. The chairman also knew about Jae-hee's relationship with assistant Ma. He was furious, but he doesn't love Jae-hee, because he never trusted women. He asked Jun-ha to keep his secret. He also asked Jun-ha to collect evidence. He said he'd send the couple to jail. Yoon-ki, who was in a coma, was brought home by Jae-hee. When she came to her senses, Jae-hee told Yoon-ki that he got someone to teach Ma-ru a lesson. If the two of them keep in touch, it'll get him killed. Yoon-ki smiled, because she knew Ma-ru would never give in. She knew that Jae-hee's plan would never succeed. Even if Ma-ru had lied to her, she still chooses to believe in Ma-ru. Jae-shik called Jae-hee to tell him that Ma-ru had called him. He ridiculously threatened to keep him away from Jae-hee. Jae-hee is frozen, a man who loves her so much, but she hurt him over and over again. Jae-hee regretted it. She regrets what she did to Ma-ru. She decided to get Ma-ru back, because she knows she'll never meet a man like him again. She prepares a delicious meal and puts on makeup. She just wants to see Ma-ru right away. Yoon-ki looked at the doll in her hand. She thought of her first meeting with Ma-ru, the first kiss. She thought about the time they spent together. She doesn't care. She's going to find him. It didn't matter if she was lied to or used. As long as Ma-ru still had a shred of truth in him, she won't let go. Yoon-ki ran as fast as she could in the rain. Finally she rang Ma-ru's doorbell. She tapped on it with all her might. She shouted Ma-ru's name. Ma-ru didn't show up. The cold rain poured down on her. She was desperate. Just when she was about to give up, The door opened. Ma-ru looks at Yoon-ki. His wounds hurt, but his heart hurt more. He slowly walked towards Yoon-ki and hugged her. At the same time, he noticed Jae-hee in front of him. His embrace tightened. Ma-ru carefully bandaged the girl's wound. He didn't know what Yoon-ki had gone through to meet him. All he knows is that he can't let go of Yoon-ki's hand again. Yoon-ki tries to look at the wound on Ma-ru's face, but Ma-ru dodges it. He thinks the most important thing now is to eat, but there was nothing at home. Ma-ru had to go shopping. As soon as he left the house, he saw the lunchbox left by Jae-hee. He leaves without paying any attention. When he got home, Yoon-ki was already asleep. Ma-ru carefully tucks her in. He saw a note left by Yoon-ki. She wanted them to go on a trip together tomorrow. At the bottom of the note, she added a picture. But what Yoon-ki didn't know, the place in the photo is where Ma-ru and Jae-hee used to go together but couldn't. But it's only the past. Right now, Yoon-ki is the girl he should protect for the rest of his life. Looking at Yoon-ki's sleeping face, Ma-ru couldn't help but kiss her. The next day, Ma-ru went to buy clothes for Yoon-ki. Suddenly he gets a call from Jae-hee. He hangs up without hesitation. It turns out that Jae-hee knew from Ma-ru's assistant that the chairman knew about their relationship. He not only changed the will, he also asked Jun-ha to gather evidence against them. Soon they will have nothing. Jae-hee panicked. She wanted to apologize to the chairman, but Mr. Ma said that he would never forgive them. At that moment, Jae-hee thought of Ma-ru again. She thinks that if she is willing to give up everything, Ma-ru will definitely come back to her. But now Ma-ru has hung up the phone. But who is she? How could she give up so easily? She picked up the phone again and immediately changed her face. She left Ma-ru a message in a frightened tone, asking him to save her for the last time. Her brother was going to kill her. She slammed the bottle on the mirror. Ma-ru hears the cell phone beeping. He sees a message from Jae-hee. He didn't open it. When he got home, Ma-ru couldn't help but listen to the message. He panicked when he heard Yoon-ki's cries of frustration, even though he didn't love her anymore. But he couldn't leave her alone. He called Jae-hee. Only the sound of crying came out. Suddenly the phone cuts off. At the same time, she sends a message to Yoon-ki saying that she and Ma-ru are together now. Yoon-ki looked at the message. She doesn't know if she should trust Ma-ru anymore. Ma-ru left Yoon-ki again and came to Jae-hee. Looking at the mess in the house and the injured Jae-hee, he remembers the first time he met Jae-hee when he was a child. Jae-hee looked at him with frightened eyes just like now. At that moment, his heart went soft again. When he went to get the medicine box, Ma-ru got a call from Jae-shik. He says he's in trouble with someone and has gone to the police station to be rescued. Ma-ru was dumbfounded. Jae-hee lied to him again. The last vestiges of his feelings for Jae-hee have vanished with her deception. Ma-ru told Jae-hee that he didn't want to take revenge. As soon as she asks for it, I will leave everything and come to her. Ma-ru's words were heard by Yoon-ki, who was standing outside the door. It was as if her heart had been torn open, but she couldn't feel the pain. She left. Jae-hee said he regrets what he did to Ma-ru, but it won't happen again. She decided to leave everything and go away with Ma-ru. Ma-ru refused. He can finally stop loving her. He ignores the woman behind him and leaves. Ma-ru sees Yoon-ki driving away. He calls her. Yoon-ki doesn't answer. Ma-ru rushes home and finds Yoon-ki still missing. He doesn't know how much Yoon-ki knows. He didn't know where she was going, and he doesn't know how to face Yoon-ki. The chairman told Jun-ha to speed up the process and put the couple in jail as soon as possible, because he doesn't have much time left. He wants to clear all the obstacles in Yoon-ki's way. What he doesn't realize is that Jae-hee also has an ace in the hole that could kill him. Yoon-ki wore the clothes Ma-ru had just bought for her. She went to the beach where she met Ma-ru alone. She filmed it and sent it to Ma-ru. When he saw the video, Ma-ru panicked. He was afraid that Yoon-ki wouldn't make it. He rushed out like a madman. All he knew was that nothing must happen to Yoon-ki, otherwise, he'd go crazy. Soon Ma-ru found Yoon-ki. Seeing her safe and sound, Ma-ru's heart dropped to the ground. He was afraid that Jae-hee would use him to hurt Yoon-ki again. He decided to leave Yoon-ki, although his heart is full of sadness. Ma-ru told Yoon-ki that this is the place where he made a promise with the woman he loves most, and that woman is Jae-hee. But Yoon-ki said calmly that she knew it all along. He didn't say anything because he didn't want to lose. She said she didn't care about his past. Ma-ru said she only loved Jae-hee against her will. He only used Yoon-ki. The first time they met, he set it up. Yoon-ki didn't believe him. She hugged Ma-ru and told him that they should run away to a place where no one would recognize them. At that moment, Ma-ru wanted to hug her, but he pulls Yoon-ki away from him. He said the worst things. Yoon-ki left. Ma-ru's goal was accomplished, but his heart aches. Jae-hee went to the chairman. She presented all the evidence of the chairman's fraudulent accounts and demanded half of the property. The chairman was shocked and had a heart attack. Jae-hee panicked. She tried to call for help, but assistant Ma stopped her. He said that if the chairman doesn't die, they'll both die. Jae-hee hesitated. At that moment, Mr. Ma realized that the chairman's phone was still busy. It turns out the chairman is on the phone with Jun-ha. Assistant Ma picked up the phone and told Jun-ha that his father was responsible for the death of Yoon-ki's mother. If he wants his father to be safe, he has to keep it a secret. Yoon-ki received a text message from Jun-ha saying that her father had died. She couldn't believe it. Devastated, she turned the car around. She saw Ma-ru and ran straight at him. Ma-ru also saw Yoon-ki. He didn't hide. He met her. A year later, Yoon Ki disappeared in a car accident. Ma Ru became a professional con artist. To make money for his sister, he sold his conscience and broke many families. Some even jumped off buildings. But he continues to do what he does without feeling guilty. Jae-gi thinks that Ma Ru is a zombie now. He wants Ma Ru to return to her old self. But Ma Ru just listens. Jae-hee has become the acting chairman of the group, but her dishonorable career as a mistress is still being mocked by the wives of the rich and powerful. Jae-hee came to Yoon Ki's room. Looking at Yoon Ki's picture, she vowed not to let Yoon Ki's presence ruin everything she had gotten. She ordered the maid to clean out all of Yoon Ki's things. She turned the room into a playroom for her son. Every night, Ma Ru would hold Yoon Ki's picture in his hands. It was the only time he felt alive. In the morning, when Ma Ru went out, he heard two children and a woman arguing about how to spell Ma Ru. He heard the same voice he'd heard so many times in his dreams. Ma Ru stopped walking and turned around slowly. He didn't see the woman's face, but he knew it was Yoon Ki, the girl he had hurt so much. Yoon Ki was being teased by two children for making a mistake in her handwriting. Ma Ru picked up a pen and wrote the correct name on the wall. Yoon Ki looks up and sees Ma Ru. The girl looks at him and says she knows him. He is Ma Ru. Yoon Ki is very happy. She takes out her camera. It's full of pictures of her and Ma Ru. She says she had a car accident and lost her memory. She only remembers her name and Ma Rus. She forgot everything, but when she saw him, she knew they must have been very much in love. And Ma Ru just looked at her quietly. Yoon Ki says she remembered her name long after she lost her memory, and Ma Ru was the only person who appeared in her camera. She asked around and found this place. She remembered him the moment she saw him. Yoon Ki asked Ma Ru if they had been in love before. Looking at Yoon Ki's expectant eyes, Ma Ru didn't know how to answer. Yoon Ki only remembers his kindness, but she has forgotten the damage she has done to him. Then the secretary arrives to ease Ma Ru's dilemma. It turns out that after the accident, he and Jun Ha were afraid that Jae-hee would hurt Yoon Ki. They secretly sent her to a safe place for treatment. Today, they came here to see Ma Ru to ask him to help Yoon Ki recover her memory. Yoon Ki came to Ma Ru's house, looking at all the strange and familiar things. She says she'll remember everything. The secretary told Ma Ru. After the accident, Yoon Ki had forgotten everything. Now she can't read or recognize directions. She doesn't have the basic ability to survive. She also said that Jae-hee had a lot to do with Yoon Ki's father's death. Ma Ru listened quietly, her heart crumbling. Yoon Ki's current situation is all her own doing, but if she continues to haunt her, if she regains her memory, she'll only suffer more. Ma Ru coldly told Yoon Ki that they are not lovers. It's just that they took a picture together. He says he's busy and doesn't want to waste his time on someone who doesn't matter. At that moment, Jae-shik comes to see Ma Ru. Ma Ru is afraid that Yoon Ki will be seen by him, and hugs Yoon Ki in her arms. When Jae-shik left, Ma Ru pushed Yoon Ki away. Yoon Ki grabs him and asks if he's pretending not to recognize her because she's become stupid. Ma Ru said that she had indeed become stupid. They're just friends. Yoon Ki doesn't believe him, but Ma Ru left anyway. He didn't want to go, but he had to. After the accident, Ma Ru had a bruise on his brain. The doctor recommended an operation as soon as possible, but it's risky. He was afraid he wouldn't wake up. That's why he worked so hard to earn money for his sister's treatment. He's even more afraid to recognize Yoon Ki. Ma Ru's heartlessness broke Yoon Ki. She remembers Ma Ru, but she doesn't understand why he won't admit it. Jae-shik looks at Yoon Ki's back. He recognizes Yoon Ki. A bold idea came to his mind. He followed her all the way and took a video. Yoon Ki went home and practiced writing hard. She knew that only when she regained her memory, Ma Ru would accept her. Ma Ru saw the note Yoon Ki left for her. She said she'd wait for the day he remembered her. She also left her phone number. Back at home, Jae-gi told Ma Ru that his sister had left home. He took all the money and gave it back to the people he cheated. She'd rather die than let her brother become that kind of person. Jae-gi left too. He finds it hard to breathe with Ma Ru. Ma Ru took out the note Yoon Ki had left for him. He misses her so much, but doesn't dare to see her. He doesn't know if he's really done wrong. Jae-shik found assistant Ma. He took out the video he shot of Yoon Ki. For the price of a 20-story apartment, he said he could make Yoon Ki disappear forever. He came to the secretary's house looking for Yoon Ki. He said he was Ma Ru's brother. Ma Ru asked him to pick her up, because Yoon Ki met him yesterday at Ma Ru's house, so she didn't suspect anything. She was very happy, because Ma Ru has finally come to her. The secretary comes to Ma Ru and says Yoon Ki is missing. Ma Ru remembers that only Jae-shik saw Yoon Ki yesterday. He called Jae-shik and got no answer. The secretary remembers that she put a tracking app on Yoon Ki's cell phone. Ma Ru grabbed the cell phone and chased after him. He was afraid that Jae-shik would do something bad to Yoon Ki. He can't tolerate Yoon Ki being hurt. Jae-shik is still fantasizing about his 20th floor apartment. Finally, Ma Ru saw Yoon Ki. He stopped Jae-shik's car. He angrily asked him who ordered him to do it. Yoon Ki gets out and stops him. Ma Ru lost control. He yelled at Yoon Ki for being sick in the head. She doesn't have basic judgment. Why did he go with a stranger? But Yoon Ki said he thought it was his brother and followed him. Ma Ru got even angrier. He scolded Yoon Ki. Yoon Ki was frozen. She didn't think Ma Ru would hate her so much. She says she won't bother him anymore. Yoon Ki left. Ma Ru wanted to chase after him but couldn't. He knows he's hurt Yoon Ki again. Jae-shik went back to the casino and lost everything. He lied lied to Jae-hee that he had taken care of Yoon-ki. He asked Jae-hee to keep his promise and send him the money, but Jae-hee called the police. Jae-shik got away with it, but he knew Jae-hee would never let him go. He found Ma-ru. He told him that he kidnapped Yoon-ki at Jae-hee's behest, because Jae-hee wants to get rid of all the obstacles in his way. Ma-ru didn't realize that Jae-hee would become so heartless. He wants to protect Yoon-ki. Ma-ru meets the secretary and tells her that he will help Yoon-ki to get what is rightfully hers. Suddenly the secretary sees Jae-hee's subordinate near her house. She knows that Yoon-ki has been discovered. She gives Ma-ru the key to her house and asks him to take Yoon-ki away. Soon Ma-ru came to Yoon-ki's house. He wants to take her away. Yoon-ki says she's stupid but won't go with strangers anymore. She ran into her room. Ma-ru knew Yoon-ki was still angry with him. He doesn't blame her. He told Yoon-ki about his first meeting with her on the plane, the second meeting on the cliff. In his eyes, Yoon-ki was arrogant and unassuming, sensitive, fragile and misanthropic at the same time. Yoon-ki opened the door. Ma-ru said he would tell her everything she wanted to know, but there was no time for that now. He took Yoon-ki with him. He managed to escape Jae-hee's clutches. Ma-ru told Yoon-ki all about their time together. Yoon-ki can't believe it. She thinks Ma-ru must be making it up. Yoon-ki looks at Ma-ru. Suddenly, images of the two of them together flash in her mind. Joon-ha asked Ma-ru to meet him. He knows all about Ma-ru's past, but he wants him to help Yoon-ki recover her memories and take back everything. Ma-ru accepts. Jae-hee came to see Ma-ru. She's a different person now. She has all the money and status she needs, but her heart is empty. She has lost the man who loved her the most in her life. Ma-ru has moved. He held Yoon-ki's hand tightly. At this moment, he feels like he's finally coming back to life. Today is the day Jae-hee was officially promoted to president. She was giving a passionate speech on the stage. Suddenly her smile froze. She saw Yoon-ki slowly walking towards her. Yoon-ki stepped onto the stage where she belonged. She told the reason for her disappearance. Because she was sick and needed to recuperate, she chose to go away for a while. Now she's back but she's not cured yet, so she got an assistant, Ma-ru, who is also her fiancé, to help her. Jae-hee is frozen. She can't believe her eyes. Ma-ru hurt Yoon-ki. It's obvious that they broke up. Why are they still together? They even got engaged. She was so close. She was angry and unhappy. Jae-hee doesn't know that Yoon-ki has lost her memory. Today's speech on the stage was the result of Ma-ru's practice with Yoon-ki over and over again. Yoon-ki doesn't understand why she's fighting her stepmother. She's scared. She's afraid that people will see her illness. Ma-ru reassures her that he has everything under control. Jae-hee wants Yoon-ki to live at home but Ma-ru stops her. He says Yoon-ki will live with him. Looking at their clasped hands, Jae-hee asked Yoon-ki to come home for dinner, but when Yoon-ki came home, he told her to confess to her father. Yoon-ki didn't even see her father's last face for a man. Looking at her father's picture, Yoon-ki remembered Jae-hee's words and shed tears. Jae-hee asks Ma-ru why she came back. Ma-ru says that Yoon-ki is the only woman who gives him peace of mind now. He wants to protect her from the bad guys. Ma-ru sarcastically says that everything Jae-hee has now is stolen. Sooner or later, he'll have to give it back. Yoon-ki is upset that she didn't see her father for a man. Ma-ru is heartbroken. She said it's not her fault. Don't be too hard on yourself. He has to get things back on track as soon as possible. Because his health is deteriorating, he can only work harder. Ma-ru successfully countered Jae-hee in the board meeting. Even Joon-ha couldn't help but praise him as a business wizard. He said that Jae-hee had no choice but to abandon him. Yoon-ki told the doctor that she's been having flashbacks lately. The doctor was not surprised. He said that Yoon-ki is just running away from her memories. He hoped that Yoon-ki would be brave and find her memory soon. Yoon-ki looked puzzled and didn't understand at all. Back at home, his sister suggested that Yoon-ki and his brother go on a trip together. Yoon-ki was tempted, but she was too shy to mention it to Ma-ru. Ma-ru at the door overhears their conversation. The next day Yoon-ki woke up in the car. She was surprised to see Ma-ru. The warmth of the sun is a testament to their happiness. Ma-ru no longer resists. At this moment, he was happy. Yoon-ki, who had never been in the kitchen before, was happy and busy. She's busy cooking for her beloved. The doorbell rings. The man at the door showed a search warrant. They received a report from the Taesin group. Ma-ru is suspected of commercial espionage. They wanted to conduct a routine search. No surprises. They found the evidence easily. They're taking Ma-ru away. Ma-ru says it's her first time cooking. He'll have to wait until he's finished eating. Yoon-ki looks worried. Ma-ru praises her cooking. He told Yoon-ki not to worry. He could prove his innocence. Ma-ru wasn't taken away. He didn't have a warrant. He went to see Jae-hee. Jae-hee wasn't surprised by Ma-ru's arrival. Ma-ru said that he had dropped out of school, but his intelligence was still intact. He didn't expect Jae-hee to play such a childish game. Jae-hee, however, is confident that he has enough evidence to send him to jail again, unless he leaves Yoon-ki and Tarzan. In the face of Jae-hee's threats, Ma-ru didn't give in to Jae-hee's threats. He chose to turn himself in to the prosecutor's office. He explained everything about his previous deception, but he refused to admit to Jae-hee's accusations. He asked the prosecutor to investigate him fairly and impartially, and not to be influenced by his previous bad deeds. Joon-ha found assistant Ma. He laughed at him for framing Ma-ru. Yoon-ki decided to stop hiding behind Ma-ru. She's going to stand up for herself herself and find her lost memories. She goes to her former home alone. Jae-hee is surprised by Yoon-ki's arrival. At the same time, she realizes that Yoon-ki is a different person. She even forgot her seafood allergy. She wanted to try again with the food Yoon-ki doesn't like. Ma-ru came. He took Yoon-ki away. Yoon-ki thought back to when the maid said that she used to get angry when there was something she didn't like on the table. She couldn't believe she was like that. Suddenly, she doesn't want her memory back. Ma-ru tells Jae-hee that he's handed over all the surveillance of the house to the prosecution. I'm sure his case will come out soon. Jae-hee and Ma-ru are surprised. She comes to Ma-ru's house and wants Yoon-ki to leave Ma-ru. She even went so far as to hurt Yoon-ki again and again. Ma-ru saw Yoon-ki in pain on the floor. He angrily scolds Jae-hee to get out of his house. Joon-ha came to see Yoon-ki. He wanted to go forward but couldn't. He knew that only Ma-ru could help Yoon-ki at this moment. It's enough for him to see her happy from afar. Yoon-ki had a dream. In her dream, she drove her car sadly into the opposite direction. She was so close to seeing a man's face. Ma-ru realized that Yoon-ki had disappeared again. He looks around nervously. Finally, on a hospital bench, Ma-ru finds Yoon-ki asleep. Yoon-ki has once again forgotten who he is. Ma-ru was dumbfounded, but he knows that Yoon-ki is just remembering bad memories and is afraid to face them. He takes Yoon-ki home. He took out a picture of the two of them and gave it to Yoon-ki. Yoon-ki couldn't believe what she saw. She threw the photo on the floor. Yoon-ki fainted due to her emotions. Ma-ru held her like that all night. In the morning, Jae-hee came. Her sister criticized Jae-hee for being a traitor, but Jae-hee wasn't angry. She said that she had gotten everything, but she wasn't happy, because she doesn't have Ma-ru with her. She said she came today to take Yoon-ki home. After all, she is Yoon-ki's stepmother. Ma-ru got angry, said if Jae-hee messes with Yoon-ki again, he'll kill her right now. Ma-ru brought Yoon-ki some juice. Yoon-ki knocked it over. Ma-ru wasn't angry. Yoon-ki drops it again and again, until Yoon-ki cuts her hand. Ma-ru painfully puts medicine on it. He's happy that Yoon-ki is angry with him. He wanted Yoon-ki to stop torturing herself. Once again, he goes to get the milk. When he returns, he finds Yoon-ki finally crying. She gave vent to her anger by hissing. Ma-ru quietly put down the milk and retreated. Suddenly his head began to ache severely. His condition worsened. In the morning, Yoon-ki greeted Ma-ru calmly. She said she'd had a dream. In her dream, Ma-ru had become a bad person who cheated him and hurt him. Ma-ru asked her what she would do if she was really like that. Yoon-ki says she would never forgive. Ma-ru laughed. He says he's relieved. He said if the dream was real, Yoon-ki must be hard on him. Yoon-ki just stares at him blankly. On the other side, Ma-ru's desperation made the hatred in Jae-hee's heart even stronger. She found out about Yoon-ki's memory loss from assistant Ma. She decided to use Yoon-ki's guardianship to get all of Yoon-ki's shares, including Ma-ru. At the board meeting, she was about to reveal Yoon-ki's condition. A note saying that she had hired someone to kidnap Yoon-ki appeared in her hand. It turned out that Ma-ru had called Jae-shik. Jae-shik knows all of Jae-hee's secrets, including the fact that Ma-ru took the fall for a murder. Ma-ru wanted to use Jae-shik to keep her in check, and that's Jae-hee's weakness. She had no choice but to resume her identity as a representative of the Yoon-ki group. Jae-hee approached Ma-ru and said she'd give up everything if only Ma-ru would come back to her. Ma-ru mocks her for always wanting things that don't belong to her. Their conversation was watched by assistant Ma. He grabbed Jae-hee. He asks him if it's worth it to give up everything he's earned for a man who abandoned him. Jae-hee didn't care. She bought the house where Ma-ru lived. She looked at everything that was familiar to her. It's as if Ma-ru is still with her, but she knows there's no going back. She's lost Ma-ru forever. She's lost the man who was always there for her. Seeing couples kissing on the road, Yoon-ki asks why Ma-ru never kisses her. Why does she feel that Ma-ru always keeps her distance? She asks Ma-ru if he ever kissed her before. Ma-ru remembers their first kiss. Looking at Yoon-ki's expectant eyes, he denied it, because he doesn't want Yoon-ki to expect too much from him. Yoon-ki let go of Ma-ru's hand with a disappointed look on her face. Joon-ha told Ma-ru that Jae-hee had misappropriated money and framed Yoon-ki for it. Ma-ru is furious. He went to the company treasurer. He lied that he had evidence of his fraudulent accounts. He wants him to tell the truth and clear Yoon-ki's name. After that, he turned around and left. He didn't realize that Ma-ru's subordinates were watching from a distance. Assistant Ma was afraid that Jae-hee would leave him for Ma-ru. He secretly got someone to beat the finance minister to death. Since Ma-ru was the last person he met, he became the biggest suspect. Ma-ru found out from Jae-gi that he was wanted by the police. He found Jae-hee. He asked Jae-hee to clarify Yoon-ki's embezzlement. Then he apologized to Yoon-ki. He also made Jae-hee promise not to hurt Yoon-ki again, or else he'll publicize all the bad things she's done. At that moment, the police came. Ma-ru looked at Jae-hee. He thinks Jae-hee betrayed him again. Yoon-ki blames herself for what happened to Ma-ru. She thinks Ma-ru was arrested because he went to the finance minister for himself. She went to Jae-hee and asked her to let Ma-ru go. She said she was willing to let go of everything, including the Taesin group. She only wants Ma-ru to be safe. Jae-hee is shocked. Yoon-ki gave up everything for Ma-ru, but she gave up Ma-ru for money. A strange man came to see Yoon-ki. He took out a picture of himself and Yoon-ki. He says they were first loves. Yoon-ki has no memory of it. The man told Yoon-ki about their sweet past, and the first time they kissed. The man's words irritated Yoon-ki deeply. She remembers how she confessed to Ma-ru in the rain. She remembered her first kiss with Ma-ru Ma-ru. She broke away from the man's hand. He's not her first love. He was sent by Jae-hee to break up her and Ma-ru. Because Jae-hee has succeeded in getting the Tarzan group, she paid a lot of money for the real murderer to turn himself in. When she found out that Ma-ru was getting out of jail today, Jae-hee was waiting here early. But the first thing Ma-ru saw was Yoon-ki. When Ma-ru saw Yoon-ki, he was very happy. Because he finally made up his mind, no matter what the future holds. Ma-ru looks at Yoon-ki. He tells the woman to remember this moment, because it was his first kiss. Then he kissed her deeply. Yoon-ki takes Ma-ru to the place where he used to live. He says this is where he confessed his love for Ma-ru. She remembers their sweet past. She wanted Ma-ru to marry her. She wants to see Ma-ru every day when she opens her eyes. Looking at Yoon-ki's expectant eyes, Ma-ru agrees. Yoon-ki begins to imagine herself in a wedding dress. Ma-ru just looked at her with favor. Suddenly, he didn't want Yoon-ki to regain her memory. He wished it could be this very second. How happy Ma-ru is at the moment and how lost Jae-hee is. She went alone to the tavern she frequented with Ma-ru. One drink after another. She reminisced about her past with Ma-ru. She vented her anger and resentment to the men there. Assistant Ma came and took her away. Looking at Jae-hee's lonely face, Assistant Ma was heartbroken. He tried to kiss her, but Jae-hee avoided him. Jae-hee didn't understand that Ma-ru used to love her so much. Now he's breaking her heart over and over again for another woman. Assistant Ma told her to cheer up. He said he would always be by her side. Yoon-ki dreamt of her car accident again. The man's face is still blurred. Yoon-ki searched her car accident record. She found nothing. Jae-gi knows about Ma-ru's condition. He urges her to have an operation as soon as possible. But Ma-ru is happy with her life now. Her sister was completely cured. Yoon-ki has returned to his side. He wants Jae-gi to fulfill his happiness. Ma-ru doesn't want to wake up to the laughter in his house. He wants to live in his dream world and be happy forever. Jae-hee saw the news of Ma-ru and Yoon-ki's wedding. She came to Ma-ru. She begs him not to get married and not to leave her. Ma-ru taunts her that she doesn't deserve love. Jae-hee found Yoon-ki. She wants to tell Yoon-ki about her relationship with Ma-ru and ruin their wedding. Junha arrived in time to stop her. Jae-hee started to spread the news of Yoon-ki's memory loss within the group. In order to deal with this crisis, Junha suggested that Yoon-ki and Ma-ru move up their wedding. Ma-ru can take over Yoon-ki's shares as soon as possible so that they won't fall into Jae-hee's hands. Yoon-ki wants to know the truth about the car accident that's been bothering her. She asks Junha where the man she hit is now. Junha brushes him off by saying that he's already out of the country. Ma-ru knows he can't covet this stolen happiness anymore. It's time to wake up. Yoon-ki has the right to know the truth. Back at the office, Yoon-ki finds a file on her desk. When she opens it, she finds the accident report of her car accident. Ma-ru's name was there. She remembered. She remembers the whole truth about the accident. For the first time, Ma-ru's face appears clearly in the accident. Yoon-ki fell to the ground. She remembers everything about her and Ma-ru. Ma-ru comes to Yoon-ki for a meeting. Yoon-ki has recovered. Her eyes are still warm when she looks at Ma-ru, but her heart is dripping blood. At the board meeting, Yoon-ki was confronted with the aggressive questioning of the board members. Yoon-ki frankly admitted her illness. She voluntarily resigned from the board of directors. He proposed to take back everything that belongs to him by his own strength. Yoon-ki's decision took everyone by surprise. Ma-ru praised her for doing a good job. Yoon-ki's old sense of decisiveness has returned. Yoon-ki is surprised. She thinks Ma-ru will blame her for ruining her plan. Instead, Ma-ru asks her what she wants as a reward. Like all girls, Yoon-ki chooses flowers and a tea bag. It's Ma-ru's first time to give a gift to a woman. He chooses each gift with great care. He waits patiently for his beloved to arrive. At the same time, Yoon-ki went to her father's grave for the first time. She feels guilty that she didn't get to see her father one last time for a man. Yoon-ki looks at her father's statue and vows to make those who betrayed her pay dearly. Yoon-ki arrives at the appointed place. She looks coldly at what Ma-ru has prepared for her. When she hears Ma-ru's voice behind her, she instantly regains her usual expression. She realizes that her boyfriend is the cause of all her misfortunes. She decides to take revenge on Ma-ru for his betrayal and deception. Yoon-ki looks at the diary she wrote for Ma-ru and finds it ironic. She goes downstairs. She hugs Ma-ru, who is making breakfast. She says she had a dream again. She dreams that Ma-ru is leaving her. Ma-ru wanted to take her to a place where there were only two of them. Yoon-ki agrees. Ma-ru is very happy. She puts a ring on Yoon-ki's desk, but she accidentally finds a diary torn up by a woman on the floor. Ma-ru was dumbfounded. He knew Yoon-ki had regained her memory. Because he had put the accident report there, he should have been happy because it was the result he'd been waiting for. But he was disappointed, because he knew there was no chance for him and Yoon-ki. Yoon-ki called Ma-ru. She said the invitations have been printed. She's looking forward to their wedding. Ma-ru listens quietly. He knows that Yoon-ki is acting. He knows she doesn't trust him anymore, but he's willing to play along, as long as she can stay by his side. Yoon-ki approached Jae-hee. She wants her to help her plan her wedding as her mother. Jae-hee was reluctant, but there was nothing she could do. Looking at Yoon-ki in her wedding dress, she looked at herself with an innocent face. face. Jae-hee wanted to tear her apart. Ma-ru just quietly watched the hidden murder between the two women. Jae-hee thinks everything is Ma-ru's idea. She thinks Ma-ru still loves her. She wants to make herself jealous by doing this. Jae-hee gets excited and grabs Ma-ru's hand. Yoon-ki pushes in and sees the scene in front of her but chooses to ignore it. She sat right next to Ma-ru. Because Yoon-ki had a date with Jae-gi and her sister, she wanted to see the poor performance of those who knew each other but pretended to be strangers. Ma-ru doesn't know how Yoon-ki will get back at her, but he will stay with her until Yoon-ki doesn't need him anymore. Jae-hee apologized to Ma-ru. She apologizes for all the hurt she's caused him over the years. She is willing to give Ma-ru all the major decisions in the organization, as long as Ma-ru stays by her side. But Ma-ru said that he would be the first to get rid of her, because she's the biggest obstacle in Yoon-ki's way. At the same time, the news that the groom and his mother-in-law used to be in love has accidentally hit the internet. The breaking news has caused chaos at the wedding venue. A large number of reporters swarmed to the venue. The heroine of the incident fled the scene in a hurry, but the man didn't show up. Yoon-ki is calm, because she's the one who directed the drama. She's going to make them pay for their deception. The crowd has dispersed. The groom finally appeared. Ma-ru looks at Yoon-ki with pain in his eyes, because he's the one who pushed Yoon-ki to the brink of ruin. He knew that Yoon-ki had regained her memory. He was angry at Yoon-ki for doing that. He should have directed all his anger at him and Jae-hee. Why did he put himself in such a predicament? Joon-ha took Yoon-ki away. Ma-ru felt like his soul had been drained. There's no reason for him to be by a woman's side anymore, but he'll help Yoon-ki to get everything back soon. Ma-ru found Jae-hee and admitted that he was the one who planned today's news. He said that he loved Jae-hee from the beginning to the end. He asked the woman if she could leave everything and come with him. Jae-hee didn't believe him, but she was still moved. Yoon-ki soaked herself in the bathtub. The cold water didn't ease the pain in her heart. She thought about Ma-ru. She should have hated it, but she couldn't. Joon-ha didn't know how to comfort the woman in front of her. She can only cry with her. Yoon-ki moved back home. Jae-hee gave her a false welcome. He said that Ma-ru admitted to leaking the news to the media just to get back at him for abandoning him. Yoon-ki is shocked. She doesn't understand why Ma-ru took the blame for herself. Ma-ru wanted to call Yoon-ki, but she's no longer in a position to do so. The phone rings. It's a strange number. When she answers, no one speaks. The feeling told Ma-ru it was Yoon-ki. He's excited but doesn't dare to speak. Two people in love can only think of each other in this way. Ma-ru drove a drunk Jae-hee home. When he saw Yoon-ki, he let go of Jae-hee's hand. That's what he wanted. He wanted to see a woman, but he could only do it in such a despicable way. When he left, Ma-ru went to Yoon-ki's room. Unable to stop thinking about her, he wanted to hug her, but he didn't dare. He only asked politely how Yoon-ki was doing. Yoon-ki didn't say anything. Ma-ru left. Yoon-ki wanted to go after him, but she didn't have the courage. She suspects that her father's death is linked to Jae-hee and assistant Ma, because they were the last people he saw. Joon-ha was afraid to tell her the truth. He's afraid that Yoon-ki will lose her mind. He was afraid that a woman would be hurt. He gave the evidence to Ma-ru. He hoped Ma-ru would find a way to protect Yoon-ki and bring the bad guys to justice. Then he went to Ma's office to hand in his resignation, and told him to turn himself in as soon as possible. Otherwise, the evidence will be handed over to the police. Unbeknownst to him, he had set himself up for disaster. Ma-ru quietly listened to the recording that Joon-ha gave him. His mind was already in turmoil. He knew Jae-hee was bad. She'll do anything to get what she wants, but he didn't think she'd do it to her husband, the man she lived with. He found Jae-hee. He feels that he shouldn't have taken the blame for Jae-hee 6 years ago and let her make another mistake. He wants Jae-hee to turn herself in, and Yoon-ki saw it all from a distance. Jae-shik tells Ma-ru that someone has offered him an apartment as a bargaining chip to kill him, but Ma-ru doesn't panic. He tells Jae-shik to do it now. Jae-shik can't do anything about Ma-ru. Their conversation is overheard by Jae-gi at the door. Jae-gi told Jae-shik that even if he didn't do it, Ma-ru would die, because Ma-ru was very sick, a disease that could kill her at any time. Yoon-ki and Ma-ru got the call about Joon-ha's accident at the same time. Yoon-ki thinks that Joon-ha's accident must be the work of Jae-hee's assistant. Joon-ha must have found out something about them. She also said that they had something to do with her father's death, but Ma-ru advised her not to say anything without proof. He doesn't want Yoon-ki to be in danger. Yoon-ki thinks Ma-ru is favoring Jae-hee. She told Ma-ru to protect his woman. She'll find evidence and send them all to jail. Jae-hee overheard that Ma-ru had all the evidence of his crimes and was going to hand it over to the police. She got scared. She's afraid that everything she's worked so hard for all these years will come to nothing. She came to the hospital to get information from Joon-ha. Yoon-ki stopped her. He said that if she wanted to see Joon-ha, she'd have to take off her clothes and let her examine her. Jae-hee's face changed instantly, but she did everything for her own purpose. When she was about to take off her clothes, she was stopped by Ma-ru. Seeing Ma-ru's concern for Jae-hee, Yoon-ki turned away in anger. Unsure, Ma-ru follows her closely. Ma-ru says that Yoon-ki's behavior just now only puts herself in danger. Yoon-ki feels that the man is hurting Jae-hee for being insulted by him. Ma-ru doesn't explain his lover's misunderstanding. Instead, he said he would stay by her side 24 hours a day to prevent her from doing anything wrong. And that's exactly what happened. Even when he went to the bathroom, Ma-ru would stand outside the door. He can only stay by Yoon-ki's side in such a misleading way. Jae-hee asked Assistant Ma why she didn't ask her permission to do something about Jun-ha. Assistant Ma said he'll turn himself in. He'll confess to all the crimes. Jae-hee says she's not grateful. She feels sorry for herself and pathetic. Jae-hee asked Ma-ru to a place full of memories. He took out a document and gave it to Ma-ru. It contains evidence of Yoon-ki's father's fraudulent accounting and bribery. This document is enough to destroy the Taesin group. It's enough to destroy everything that Yoon-ki has. She wants to trade it for the tape recorder Jun-ha gave Ma-ru. Ma-ru hesitated. He found Yoon-ki. He wanted to take her to a place where no one would find her. Yoon-ki wavered for a moment. Yoon-ki refused, because she wanted to protect the Taesin group that her father left her, and to find out the truth about her father's death. These are more important than love. Ma-ru understood Yoon-ki's choice. He went to Jae-hee and told him that he gave the police the tape recorder. He's no longer afraid that Jae-hee will disclose the evidence, because he will protect everything Yoon-ki wants to protect. Ma-ru asked Jae-hee to turn himself in. Jae-hee refused. She said she'd rather die than turn herself in. She asked Ma-ru to die with her. They're both pathetic people who lost their love anyway. Ma-ru is angry. He doesn't want to die. He never got what he wanted, but he wants to live. He wanted to stay by Yoon-ki's side forever. Suddenly his head started to hurt again. He forced his body to leave the place. Finally he collapsed. Jae-hee found out from her brother that Ma-ru would die soon. She panicked. She couldn't stop shaking. Jae-hee regrets. She regrets all the times she hurt Ma-ru. She wants to go to him. She'll accompany him to the end, even though Ma-ru no longer loves her. On her way out, she ran into Yoon-ki. She thought about how Ma-ru said he never had anything he loved. Suddenly, she wants to make Ma-ru happy. She tells Yoon-ki that Ma-ru is sick. Yoon-ki comes to the hospital. She already knew from Jae-gi what Ma-ru had done for her, knowing that Ma-ru refused the operation so that she could be with her. Her heart etched, but she doesn't go in. She doesn't know how to face Ma-ru. Yoon-ki chooses to leave. She walks alone. She thought about her past with Ma-ru and wept. And not far away, a man is staring at her. Ma-ru knew from Jae-gi that Yoon-ki was here. He went looking for her, and now Yoon-ki has stopped. She went back like a mad woman. She wanted to tell Ma-ru that she never really hated him. Finally they saw each other. Slowly they walked towards each other. Suddenly Ma-ru saw the man behind Yoon-ki. He ran and hugged Yoon-ki tightly in his arms. Time seemed to have stood still. Ma-ru's face became paler and paler. The pain was excruciating, but he didn't want Yoon-ki to worry. He lied that he had to go back to prepare for tomorrow's operation. Yoon-ki agrees. As he leaves, Yoon-ki asks Ma-ru why he didn't avoid the accident when he could have. Ma-ru says it's been too long and he can't remember. Yoon-ki kisses him. It's the first time she's ever kissed him. Although Ma-ru's body was in pain, but his heart was full of happiness. Yoon-ki was gone. His hands are red with blood. Ma-ru fell. He remembered Yoon-ki's question. He'll never forget the car accident. Yoon-ki's tears of despair. He wanted to be with her, even if he had to die, because he had already fallen in love with Yoon-ki. Assistant Ma called Jae-hee. He said he'd help her remove the last obstacles around her and turn himself in. Jae-hee regretted it. She called Yoon-ki and no one answered. She didn't know that Ma-ru had fallen in a pool of blood to save Yoon-ki. Jae-hee decided to turn herself in, because she didn't want to make another mistake. She didn't want Assistant Ma to continue killing for herself. She came to the police station and confessed to all her crimes, including the murder incident 6 years ago. At this moment, she finally cleared Ma-ru's name. She also gave herself a chance to start her life over. 6 years later, her sister married Jae-gi, who she's had a crush on since childhood, and she has a lovely daughter. Jae-shik opened a fried chicken restaurant. He wrote love letters to his secretary every day. With perseverance, he finally got his girl, and Jun-ha woke up. He let go of his feelings for Yoon-ki. He started a new life. Jae-hee and Assistant Ma are both out of jail. They both paid for their mistakes. Each of them started a new life. Yoon-ki got away from the hustle and bustle of the city. She opened a famous fried chicken restaurant in a quiet town, because it's where her favorite man is. Ma-ru lost all memories of Yoon-ki in an operation 6 years ago. With the help of his professor, he returned to the US to finish his studies, to become a doctor again. He came to his dream town to open a clinic. Strangely enough, he ate every day at this small restaurant known for its bad food. Ma-ru knew that Yoon-ki spied on him every day. He even took pictures of him, but instead of being angry, he was happy. He even creates a chance encounter on Yoon-ki's daily route. In the light of the setting sun, Ma-ru put the ring he didn't give Yoon-ki 6 years ago in front of him. He thanked fate. He finally remembered Yoon-ki today. Remembering their past, Yoon-ki couldn't hide her joy. She finally waited for this happy moment.